If you think we sound awesome on your computer, get our free app and listen to us in your car or wherever. Now, back to the music on the Pulsar Radio Show on RadioVegas.rocks.
All right, that was EVOL WALKS with their track Give It To Me off their brand new EP, Our Time Is Now. And right now on the air with me, I have a very, very special guest, and that is Leah from the band EVOL WALKS. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, no worries. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's super awesome to have you on the show. First of all, I love that track. If you could tell me just a little bit about what that song's about.
Okay, I wrote that song. That song's actually like a very personal song to me, actually. It was in a like a pretty shitty relationship, and they were like an alcoholic and a drug addict, and they were sober at the time, but like we were just not getting along, and he was always doing these real shitty things to me. And it was like I came into this songwriting session. I co-wrote this with two of the guys from Atreyu. So I came into this songwriting session just like really pissed off because he'd done something like I can't remember, it was shitty what he'd done. The first verse just like we sat down and, you know, we kind of went through the music, and they sat down and was like, oh, ideas for the verse, and I just spat out that first verse that you hear, like, same old story in a book that never ends, same old bastard sons lying in my bed. And it just kind of came out of nowhere, and it kind of built from that. So I was like very angry and upset when I was writing this song, and, you know, just kind of about being in a relationship with someone who cares about themselves and substances and pretty much everything except for you, even though you've like put them first and tried to help them so much. And that's why it's called like Give It To Me / Save Yourself.
I think that's something definitely that anybody can relate to. I mean, as far as just, you know, maybe not to the extent of the stuff you've gone through, but definitely in terms of just, you know, dealing with crappy relationships and dealing with, you know, people who aren't, you know, prioritizing the things they should be prioritizing.
Yeah, I think that I think everyone, like, whether or not it's dealing with an addict or just dealing with maybe someone who hasn't grown up yet quite as much, I think it's, you know, you can relate it to really anything. And I like the song because it's angry, but it's also like it's kind of relatively uplifting as well. Well, not uplifting, that's the word, but, you know, there's a little bit of hope in there.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's actually one of the things that really struck me about the record front to back when I listened to it, and, you know, has really something I've enjoyed about the band over the last couple of years of, you know, getting to know you guys and, you know, really getting to know the band's sound is just how, you know, even like when the songs have, you know, dark subject matter or negative subject matter, like it never comes across like despair. And it's weird because I feel like that's kind of rare, especially in rock music. It's really easy to wallow in stuff, and it's a lot harder to pick yourself up off the ground. And I think it's really cool that, you know, you guys are coming more from that perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really glad you noticed that. Yeah, I always, whenever I write, like, you know, writing is kind of how I get it all out. You know, I always try and write with a sense of hope, even in like the most hopeless situation, because, you know, I feel like even if you feel like nothing's ever going to get better, it will. And I think it's really important, for me at least as a songwriter, even if I'm writing, you know, even if we are writing about something that's, you know, ordinarily it's like, wow, how do I get out of this? I want to at least leave a message to someone listening that, hey, like, it's going to be better. It's going to get better, whether it's maybe a turnaround lyric in the chorus or even like just the guitars. It's, you know, just people listening to it don't just be like, wow, I want to jump off a cliff. I want them to be like, yeah, I relate. I'm going through some shit too, but it's going to get better. I would much prefer them to feel like that because, you know, it's very easy to wallow and stay down there.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, especially, you know, speaking as someone who, you know, deals with those sort of kind of feelings constantly, you know, it's very easy to kind of, you know, let yourself circle the drain if you don't catch yourself doing it. And a lot of times it's kind of, you know, I feel sometimes, you know, it kind of comes down to, you know, simply stopping yourself and saying, okay, should I really be feeling this upset about it, or is there a way to fix it?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I feel like there's a way to fix things.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
So for the listening audience who might or might not be familiar with you guys, tell me a little bit about, so you're originally from Australia, right?
Yes, I am. I'm originally born and raised in Australia.
What was it like growing up in Australia?
I mean, after living in the United States, I definitely think, like, I'd be like, I don't know, same as here, but it's not. It was I was in a beach town, so I was kind of in like the Las Vegas and Miami, Florida had a baby with maybe Venice Beach and and a little bit of LA, like Hollywood area, you kind of have the town I'm from. But it's on the beach, it's beautiful, it's called the Gold Coast. So I grew up, I was at the beach like every day. I was actually a lifeguard. It was it was very free. Like we were always active out in the sun, like barbecues. Most of my memories of being a kid have to do with summer and being in a bathing suit and just covered in salt from the ocean and, you know, sleeping. My family's all very close, so, you know, sleeping over at one of the cousins' house. We were all within walking distance. We still are. When I go home, you know, 4 days, mum doesn't see me because I'm at someone else's house. Come home, my hair's pretty much dreadlocked because I've been surfing the whole time. I don't surf anymore. But, yeah, you know, it's all like, that's kind of, you know, those hot summer nights. It was just very free and very, very carefree.
Sounds like a pretty awesome way to grow up, I'm not going to lie.
It was like, I mean, getting to be a teenager, it did get a little bit boring because, like, honestly, in my town, it's like you can party at 18 in Australia, but my town is very much like about going out to the clubs, going out to drink. There's not a lot of, so when I was a teenager, I was like, fuck this place. There's nothing to do. I don't want to go to the beach because I understand that melanoma is a thing and I'm pale as fuck. You know, and I didn't start to get to that stage until I was about 13. So it was great to grow up there. Being a teenager there was kind of shit. And then I kind of moved away to Melbourne. But yeah, just Australian life in general I find much easier. Like being in Australia, life is easier. But I love being the USA. I love everything about it. I wouldn't change it.
So what led to your decision to move to the US?
I was actually invited to move here by an A&R company called A&R Worldwide. I came here on the 1st of January 2014. So they'd heard, I used to be in another band that I wrote the music for as well. They asked me if I could come over and perform at a showcase in Hollywood. And I performed there and they really liked it. I started working with the producer, Brian Howes, came up with the concept for EVOL WALKS. And then I just kind of never left.
Right on.
I did not overstay my visa. I'm here totally legally. I was on a tourist visa, and then I had an O1, and then I'm now on a green card. You can't deport me.
Yeah. So they can't send Dorito Man after you. That's good.
No. So I see whatever the fuck you call them. Like, I am totally allowed to be here. Don't even think about it.
Yeah. So what was it? Was it difficult getting acclimated, especially going from not just moving out of the country, but then moving also into one of arguably the best, but also arguably one of the most competitive music scenes? Must have been definitely a bit of a challenge.
It was definitely eye-opening. Doing music is always what I've loved to do. So I did work very, very hard to be able to be, because I definitely needed to step up, because you just don't get challenged like that in Australia. In my experience, at least, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but yeah, I love it so much that it was hard and I busted ass, but it was definitely worth it. I think the hardest thing was kind of the cultural shock and just learning how to navigate, because America is very culturally different to Australia. Things that we don't find offensive that we say all the time is say here. So trying to navigate through that and figuring it out and understanding how America works, and even just dealing with people and finding friends and kind of understanding what was okay and what wasn't. And also LA, everyone's fucking shady. So you have to be why? I'm at the point now, it's what do you want? Why are you speaking to me?
That's very LA.
Yeah, because, it just, I used to be oh, hey, let's be friends. And then all of a sudden someone's trying to steal money or some shit. So I think that was probably the biggest challenge, just trying to, more so than the music. Because the music is something, it just comes naturally. So if you work hard, it pays off. I think the place that I really struggled was just acclimating, understanding certain things you just can't do or say. And if you do them, you have to be prepared for people to maybe be a bit what the fuck?
Yeah, I think definitely it's weird in a lot of ways. Sometimes it seems like the music is the easiest part of the equation. I mean, I don't mean easy in the sense of being dismissive as to, how challenging it is to write good music, but more in the sense of, the music's a lot less stressful to me personally, having been in bands, than dealing with the logistics of everything else. Dealing with promoters, dealing with other bands, dealing with touring, dealing with all the logistical stuff. I mean, deal with the business end of it.
Yes.
I mean, the music by comparison is the fun part.
Yeah, it is. And even the hard work that goes into it, where you just want to tear your hair out, especially when it comes to there was a few things that I had to fix with my voice, so I had to find a new vocal coach, and there was a lot of training I had to do for that. Even that, which was really hard, I was I'd rather do this than go and socialize.
And it's interesting that you bring that up, because I've talked to so many musicians over the years where when they get to that certain level where it's not just their friends and their family supporting anymore, and it's basically almost even more fans than friends, but then they also reach that point where they start getting real criticism. A lot of bands, it seems like the minute they get told, hey, you might want to look into getting a vocal coach, or you might want to look into getting a second guitar player, or you might want to look into replacing the guy who's always late. It's the minute those questions come up, a lot of bands just kind of turtle and just don't want to respond or deal with it. And I think what really separates the bands that, make it as such a, an overused term, but I think what separates the bands that succeed from the bands that maybe have more of a ceiling is that ability to take that next step. And not in the sense of, just doing whatever, some guy in a suit tells you to do, but in the sense of being willing to, make those kind of hard decisions.
Yeah, I think if you're to me at least, I'm not going to listen to, Becky next door whose brother played guitar once. Obviously, if that's criticism, that's great, that's your opinion, but you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, pretty much. But if I mean, everyone has their opinion, but I mean, if you want to, just in my mind, if you want to be a professional, you have to take some criticism, and, you're not always right. So, I got told, hey, your voice is, you've got good natural talent, but you need to do this. I was okay, how do I do this? When I write demos, I get told, okay, that's shit. I'm great, how do I fix it? I think it's really, anyone who doesn't really want to take that criticism or doesn't want to work with it, I feel maybe they're either just scared or they don't really want a career. And I'm not talking about keyboard warriors or any of that. I'm talking about real constructive criticism from people who know what they're talking about.
Right. No, definitely. And the thing is, and you know, in a scene like LA, you're obviously in a scene like LA where everyone's trying to make it, and you know, you have a lot of people, especially coming in trying to do stuff. You are going to get a lot of armchair quarterbacking, but it's also the home of the industry, so you're going to get a lot of legitimate feedback. And I think being able to, you know, having the wherewithal to filter the bullshit out from the genuine, you know, pointed stuff, I think is definitely a skill more bands could benefit from it for sure.
Yeah, just don't
for their
read
own
the
sanity,
YouTube
if
comments.
anything else.
Yeah, just don't read the YouTube comments. I think that would be my only tip.
I pretty much have gotten to the point where I don't read the comments on anything. I mean, it's funny. I was joking around at one point that if I ever start doing a lot of stuff on YouTube, I may not even allow comments at all. I mean, the attitude is I really just don't care. Like,
wouldn't that be the day? Some of the comments I get, I'm like, really? That's like some of the comments I'm just like, really? Why did you take time to write that? You're a terrible person.
Yeah, I mean, and the dumbest part is it's like, and 90% of it is just people trying to get a reaction out of you. And, you know, it's like, I mean, like my thing is I've got a point now where I don't even like try to clap back at people. I just block them. I'm just like, okay, you are an unperson.
Yeah.
Poof.
I just delete. I leave constructive criticism up, and I delete anything that's like rude.
Yeah. I mean, I spent, you know, 7 years in a band with two amazing women. And I mean, some of the stuff that would get said would just make me want to like, you know, punch a hole through a brick wall. I mean, it was just completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this next track that I'm about to play, The Fire. What was the inspiration behind this one?
So The Fire is, I wrote this in Australia with a guy called Tim Hinwood. He was in a really big Australian band called the Super Jesus. He was also in the Rogue Trade and a few other things. He's awesome. So when I was writing Fire, I was really that kind of like bluesy rock sound that's going around like with all the hammering and everything. That was like kind of getting big now. One thing I always noticed about rock music, and especially like I love classic rock as well, and they're always talking about like the evil woman who does all these things, and you know they have no power over her. You know their life is destroyed. You know it's very much like hell ain't a bad place to be. Like all of those things that are about like you know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's just super. It's very tropey and it's been done.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my god, we had no control over ourselves. Women are evil. So I wanted to create a character with the fire, and I wanted to make a song that's saying like, yeah, we are evil. I was like, I am the person who's going to do all of that. Like it's a response to all of those songs. It's a response to any song that's ever been like, you know, like Jet's Cold Hard Bitch. It's like, yeah, I am a cold hard bitch. You fucking love it. Like, don't lie. And obviously it's just a character. Like, it's not a really like, you know, but I wanted to create that kind of character that it's like, okay, well, this is what you're talking about. Well, this is the woman, this is the girl coming back and being like, yes, that is me, and you fucking love it, so don't lie.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing, you know, for all of the complaining that men do about that sort of thing, I mean, they keep coming back to it, you know. It's
exactly.
Like, and also
have a win.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole thing with, you know, and it's like, the way I put it to someone the other day, I think I actually said it on the air a couple weeks back, is I'm like, I'm sick and tired of listening to dudes my age complain over and over again, album after album, about the same girl in high school or college who wouldn't sleep with them. Like, I'm so sick of it. I'm just over it. It's like, dude, like, you're 35. Get over it, bro.
It's like, go find a new girl to complain about who won't sleep with you. I'm sure you can find at least 10.
Exactly.
Sure, go out, leave, go find a new one.
You're gone.
Out.
All right, here is EVOL WALKS off their new EP, Our Time Is Now. Here is their track, The Fire.
Take
That was awesome. That was EVOL WALKS with The Fire off their new EP, Our Time Is Now. And we're going to take a quick break to pay some bills, and we'll be right back with more with Leah coming up right after this.
Now, more music with Pulsar on the Pulsar Radio Show, right here on RadioVegas.rocks.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Pulsar Radio, and that was Burning in Silence by EVOL WALKS. Probably one of my favorite tracks on the record, to be honest with you. Give me a little bit of insight on where this one was, where the inspiration for this track came from, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. So this track I wrote back in 2016, like early 2016, and I'd kind of been working on it since like the end of 2015. I came out of a relationship with, they were Australian, and it was someone I'd been with for a very long time. And, you know, we kind of tried to make it work with me being in America and him being in Australia, but obviously that was a terrible idea. You know, and he's a very good friend of mine now. Like, I just want to say this, like, we're really close now. You know, he's very happy, I'm happy, etc. I just have to put this preface in here because it's like when you talk about songs like these, people hear them like, that fucking bitch, I know. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, so at the time I wrote it, you know, like, you know, he was a very special person to me. And the song is about, like, you know, it's just about someone that you really love and you really care about, but you aren't good for each other. And, you know, your relationship's kind of turned into like this toxic thing where it's like, you know, you can't stay together, and it's burning in silence. It's like, you're kind of like, you know, you're suffering in silence because it's like, you know, you have to let it go, and everyone knows you need to let it go. So it's not like you can run around and be like, oh my God, I'm devastated, because everyone's like, why? You fucking hate each other. Whereas the thing is like, you don't actually hate each other. You're just not in a good place. So the song's just kind of about that, and kind of like just telling them like, hey, like, we need to let this go. You know, like, maybe in another time, in another place, if this never happened, if we were, you know, maybe if I'd have never done this, or you weren't this person. It's just, you know, and anyone, it's not just me speaking about it. It's like, you know, that person that's, you know, if things had been slightly different, maybe it had worked out, but it wasn't. This is what it is. Is that too convoluted?
No, not at all. I mean, I think that actually makes a hell of a lot of sense. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to dodge this particular bullet, but I've had a lot of friends over the years where they end up in relationships 2, 3, 5 years longer than they should, simply because it's, you know, I've had one guy straight up tell me, dude, it's easier than being single. And I was like, how?
Like, how is misery better than being single?
Yeah, I'm like, what? You have to, like, you know, you have to, like, make your own food and, like, take yourself to work now? I mean, like, that was the deal breaker on this? Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, and then, you know, plus also it's, I mean, long distance relationships are tough. I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't recommend
this. Someone who's tried and failed over the years.
Yeah, I've honestly, like, I have 2 friends that are doing it really well. She's in Australia, he's here, but they timed it on it. And they are like superhuman, man. They like send each other fucking care packages with like a lot of shit in them. They write each other love letters. They're like, you know, they don't just like, he doesn't just go to Australia and she comes here. Like, they're going to Europe in July, like, you know, but they have a deadline for it. Like, they're hoping to be like both in the US by a certain date. I think, you know, they can work, but unfortunately in my experience, they do not, because I don't know. I think I'm a difficult person to get along with sometimes.
I don't know. I mean, you and I get along great, so yeah. I don't think you're the problem. Let's put it that way. So if you don't mind my asking, so you come to Australia. You come from Australia. I'm smart. You come from Australia to LA, and so when you're putting together, when it came to finding your bandmates for EVOL WALKS, how was the process with that?
It was actually a very long process. So, like, the band that you see now is like the 5th or 6th iteration of it, or evolution, or whatever you want to say. When I initially came to the US, I didn't know anybody, and we had, like, you know, a big showcase. So I had a manager that recommended that we use this dude called Barry Squire, who's kind of like the connector in LA. He connects musicians with people. So that's how we kind of got our first lot of EVOL WALKS. And then after that, we just, you know, we played around, and then, you know, obviously certain people didn't work out for whatever reason. You know, I started meeting people in the bars. I started being more part of the scene. So the evolution that you see now of EVOL WALKS are just people that I know, I'm friends with, I've been introduced to by so-and-so, you know, and I think that's a much healthier way of making the band up. So.
Absolutely. You know, and it's, you know, I mean, I've had the chance to, you know, obviously to, you know, hang out with the band and interact with the guys and all. And, you know, and the thing that, you know, immediately just struck me was you know, especially with this current lineup you have, it just seems like all the pieces are just there. Like, it's really complete.
I think it's just because we're all really good friends.
That helps. I mean, like, you know, if you're gonna live in a box with wheels with 4 or 5 other people, I mean, you can like each other, or at least like each other. I mean, because like, that's the one thing I always tell bands about touring, especially when they're going out for the first time, is I'm like, within 2 weeks of being on the road, you're going to learn every single minute thing about the people in your band that you don't like.
Yep.
And you're going to learn every single thing minute thing about yourself that they don't like.
Oh yeah, it gets real.
Yeah, I mean, the other advice I usually give people, I'm like, look, if you're not 100% sure how you feel about your bandmates, just bring a shitload of books and some headphones.
That's what I do.
It works. I mean, if it works on public bus, it's going to work in a van.
Yeah.
So as far as, you know, when you're putting together, I mean, I imagine one of the things that's challenging too with, you know, with navigating the LA scene. And this is something that I wasn't really as cognizant of this until I spent time living in LA, especially working with you at the Viper Room. was that most LA bands, and I'm putting air quotes in the air, aren't really LA bands. They're bands that moved to LA from another market, basically. And it's funny because I feel like the bands that succeed doing that versus the bands that fail, I think the biggest difference is the bands that succeed in that move basically are treating the LA music scene almost like finishing school.
Yeah.
They're basically coming there like, okay, we know we have a good sound. It's just a matter of refining, maybe refining our look, maybe refining, our live show, and just really, essentially almost like focus testing it.
Yeah.
But then I talk to other musicians where it's like, well, I moved to LA to make it. And I'm like, well, that's cool. Do you have songs? Do you have, like what you got? Yeah, so I think that's definitely one of the things that's been, that was something that really struck me early on. And it also the other thing also was like, there's a ton of talent in LA. So if you're really good, you will stand out to some extent, especially like, it seems like with the LA scene, because it's such a big city, it does seem like there's definitely, you have those segregated pockets, like, you got the Silver Lake scene, which kind of leans more towards like indie and alt rock. And then you've got the Sunset Strip scene, which is kind of more straight ahead rock and like, old school punk, old school metal. And I really fell in love with that area when I was in LA and working out there, just because it was like, the Sunset Strip area is just so fun. It's almost like it's like this magical time capsule.
It really is.
Yeah, like the way I usually describe it to people is like rock and roll Disneyland, essentially.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, which I know there's like, for some people that might not appeal to them, but for me, especially, someone who, grew up listening to Appetite for Destruction on cassette, it's like that,
Yeah.
That's my wheelhouse right there.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about the next track that I'm going to play, which is Destination Nowhere.
Okay, so this song, actually, when we're on our way to Vegas today, in the next few hours, we're actually going to be shooting like a BTS tour video style thing for this one.
Awesome.
I wrote this again about the same time as I wrote Give It To Me, and it's kind of about the same relationship. I was feeling very trapped. And I felt like I couldn't really, like, I was in a situation where I was like, we were living together, but I didn't want to, but it was just a very hard thing to get out of. And I just wanted to like get the fuck out and leave. And I didn't care where the fuck I went. I just wanted to like jump in a car and drive and go do something else and be someone else and just get the fuck away from everything I was in. And so that's where this song came from. It's about like kind of losing yourself to like the journey. And that sounds so fucking corny, but it is. It's like kind of about losing yourself to the journey and, like feeling like that need to just explore and get out and, be a bit of a nomad to like escape your reality.
I can definitely relate to that feeling. I think especially anyone I think in our line of work definitely can, in the music industry. Whether you're a performer or even when you're not a performer, even if you're like, a producer or a promoter or something, you get that itch to do more all the time, constantly.
Yeah.
And it's, and especially, if you're in a relationship that's not, where there isn't that mutual, okay, even if I'm not into what you're doing, I'm not going to get in your way and I'm not going to hold you back. If you don't have that, it can be absolutely soul crushing.
Yeah.
Especially, when you're an artist.
Yeah.
All right, here's EVOL WALKS with Destination Nowhere.
I feel it in my blood.
right, and that was Destination Nowhere from EVOL WALKS. My in-studio guest Leah is on here with me, and we're going to take a very quick break to pay some bills, but when we get back, I'll have another great track from them. In fact, I'm going to have the title track off the EP, and I'm really excited to ask you about it. So we will be back on Pulsar Radio on Radio Vegas Rocks.
If you think we sound awesome on your computer, get our free app and listen to us in your car or wherever. Now, back to the music on the Pulsar Radio Show on RadioVegas.rocks.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pulsar Radio. I am your host, Patrick Pulsar, and I have in the studio with me Leah from the band EVOL WALKS, who will be playing tonight at 172 inside the Rio.
We're very excited.
Yeah, super excited to have you. This will be your first Vegas show, right?
It will be. We were meant to come out last year, but a series of unfortunate events led to us not being able to. So this is our first time playing in Vegas. We're very excited.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a great show. Actually, it was cool. A couple days back, I actually had Mother Mercury on the show in studio, who you'll be playing with tonight. And yeah, they're such a badass band. And I really, and I feel like your guys' sounds really go well together.
Yeah, I'm excited. Playing Psycho Fest, right?
Yeah, they are. They're playing Psycho, and I'm really excited for them to be on that too, because that line, I feel like that festival. Like I was talking to them the other day about. I feel like that festival is so rad because it's almost like the thinking man's metal fest.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's like, it's like a metal fest for people who, are down to try stuff that's different. And I think that's really, really cool. Yeah, especially when it's something that's like a destination event like that, where you're getting a lot of people from out of state and or even out of the country. It's really, really awesome. Yeah, I'm really, really excited for tonight's show. It's going to be really fun. And if you guys want to check out EVOL WALKS tonight live, you can at 172 inside the Rio Hotel and Casino. Doors are at 9. The show is 18 plus, and it's absolutely free. Free show, free parking. Free show, free parking. No excuses.
There's really no excuse at all, really.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, you compare that to like, an LA show where it's like $10 to park, $10 to get in, $10 to drink.
Yeah, I paid $25 to get into something the other day. I was like, this is some bullshit right here.
Oof, big time oof.
I know.
It's like 50 tacos.
Yeah, I was like, dude, do you know how many tacos I could do for this? Maybe it was 20. I don't know. It was fucking expensive, whatever it was.
Well, I was gonna say, well, it depends too on are we talking like Jack in the Box tacos or street tacos too? I mean, there's it's like they had the Big Mac index for the longest time in the States, which that says a lot about the state of the American economy.
Yeah, it does.
So the track we just played from you guys was the title track off the new EP, Our Time Is Now. Yes. So this track is a lot of fun. So tell me a little bit about what this track's about.
Okay, so this track, at the time, I was writing it, I'm very into politics. I'm very into Australian politics. I'm very into American politics. It makes me really angry, generally, because it actually affects me. So at the time I was writing this song, there was something that came through from Australia. Now we have great wages. We have our minimum wage is like $20, $30 or $20, $25 or something. We get penalty rates. So if you work on a Saturday, you get whatever you get paid plus an extra quarter. If you work a public holiday, you get double what you pay, what you earn plus another half. They really take care of you because they believe, spending time with your family, if you're cutting it off, you need to be compensated. And so the government was planning to cut our penalty rates for, people in hospitality and people in retail, which are college students and also some of the lowest earning people in the country. The penalty rates, when I was at university, I worked 3 shifts a week and I could pay my rent, I could pay for food, I could drive to and from university, and I could still go out to eat. Yeah, so I was earning I'd do 3 shifts and I'd make $800 a week or something. So, so I got really angry because, and the politicians are giving themselves a pay rise. I was like, these are people who are on a few $100K a year, more than that. Sometimes, Prime Minister's on $560K a year. They're all in the hundreds, 200s, and they're cutting wages to the people who are at the bottom. And then it just made me really angry because it's affecting, it's mainly affecting the youth. So Our Time Is Now is kind of like a protest song. And it's all about saying, we are the future, and the future is in our hands. So you can fuck us as much as you like, but eventually we are going to be the majority.
Yeah.
The opening lines you don't realize how hard it can be until you're face down in the dirt. Especially if you're studying and you're trying to juggle all these jobs. You just feel like you're just, you feel like you can't get anywhere. So this is kind of like a protest song and a call to arms to be hey, we are the future. Stop fucking with us because you're going to lose your jobs real quick as we actually. Especially as soon as the people who are newer to voting understand how much power they have.
Yeah, that's, I think a lot of it is just, making sure people understand that they do have power because, it's very easy to be convinced by the media, by both sides of the media, even that you don't.
Yes.
It's very easy to be told, okay, well, there's this big bad that screw you over. And it's just as easy to be told by the other side, okay, well, this big bad's screwing you over, but there's nothing you can really do about it. And, I've never understood that mentality. I mean, admittedly, I think a lot of it, I grew up in a family that was politically active, and that definitely made a big difference. It's interesting. I'm really glad that you brought that up about the whole issue with pay in Australia. That's really interesting. There's actually kind of a similar situation playing out in Vegas right now, which is kind of bizarre. So back when the new tax rules were passed, when the new tax code was made, there was it's being called now a glitch by people complaining about it. But basically, there was an error with it where one of the more prominent casinos in Vegas might not necessarily get the kickback that they thought they were going to get. And now they're trying to get Congress to retroactively fix it. But at the same time, they're currently negotiating a new contract with the largest labor union out here.
Oh.
And basically, Congress is take care of that first, then we'll talk. Because they're kind of looking at it okay, we're not going to give any of you money until you figure this out, because if we do, we're going to end up getting the guillotine pretty much next election. So, yeah, so it's kind of funny seeing how they put all this money and effort into getting the man elected, and now it's kind of he's kind of well, this isn't my problem.
Yeah, it's whoops.
Yeah, you done goofed. Yeah, and it's like, and the thing is, like, I've kind of consciously made an effort with the show. I mean, my thing is, anyone who follows me on social media knows where I stand on political stuff mostly. It's pretty easy to figure out. I don't usually bring it up too much when it comes to our radio show, but I'm really glad that we touched on this subject in particular, because to me, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, we all have people to take care of. We all want to be paid fairly. So I feel like this isn't really a left versus right issue. It's a working person's issue.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's no country, like there shouldn't be a situation where someone's worked 40 to 60 hours a week and struggling to pay their rent.
Inconceivable.
But anyway.
No, it's a valid criticism, and it's a criticism that's been, it's something that's been brought up quite a bit, and it's especially an interesting topic, especially in a town like Vegas where we're so service industry based, but then you have casinos trying to pool the tips and not give their dealers the proper amount they're supposed to be getting. People literally live on that, and yeah, there's been a lot of shenanigans over the years, but hopefully things will straighten out soon, or people will get straightened out soon. One can only hope. So tell me a little bit about this next track I'm about to play, Up All Night.
Up All Night. Okay. So we don't really do like a lot of kind of sexy tracks, so we don't really do stuff like this. When we were in the studio doing this one, I was co-writing it with Aaron, who produced the EP. And he kind of wanted to do, like, he was like, I think it might be cool to do something a little bit more, like, playful and sassy. So we kind of, we just kind of came up with Up All Night because it's kind of fun. And it's, I think that's all I really have to say about it. I just really had, I had fun with the character. I mean, I think the lyrics are pretty self-explanatory.
And I like the fact that a lot of your songs, you're writing from the perspective of a character, which I think is really cool. Because to me, personally, for me as a writer, I always found that extremely challenging, but also extremely fun to do.
Yeah, when it comes to like the heartfelt songs or whatever, they're all me. But when it comes to some of them, like the more fun, like the fire in this one, it's you tap into a part of your personality that is there, but it's not necessarily the one that you use. So even though it's a character, it's still part of you. So that's what I find. That's why I think I find it a little bit more, like a little bit easier, because it's still coming from me, but it's just maybe not a part of me that I would actively like reveal.
Right on. All right, here's EVOL WALKS with Up All Night.
Watch
All right, that was awesome. That was EVOL WALKS with Up All Night off their brand new EP, Our Time Is Now. Leah, if somebody wants to pick up a copy of this, where can they get one?
We only have online at the moment, so Google Play Store, iTunes Store, we have Bandcamp, Amazon, you can stream us on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, YouTube, all of the things.
All the things.
All of the things.
Right on. Very cool. And once again, EVOL WALKS will be performing tonight at 172 Inside the Rio with Mother Mercury, another amazing Vegas band that you should be checking out. And this is going to be a really, really fun show. It's EVOL WALKS' first Vegas show ever, and I'm super excited to have them coming down. That show is at 9 p.m. tonight at the Rio inside 172, and it's 18 plus, and it is absolutely free. So you have zero excuses for not coming down.
Zero. Absolutely zero.
Exactly. We will judge you with our judging eyes. So we've been showcasing a bunch of the tracks off of the new EP, Our Time Is Now, but you guys are actually working on more new music already. Is that right?
That is correct.
Very cool. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we've got a whole bunch of demos that we've been working on for like the last 2 years or so, and we're going into the studio. We're locking in the dates next week, so I'm pretty sure we're going to go in the studio end of July, early August. We're going back in with Brian Howes, who we did our first record with. I'm super excited. We're gonna strip it back. Like, I love this record. I'm so proud of it. But I want to go back to being really raw. I want to go back to where our roots are. I want to have more of that like classic vibe mixed in with some like Sabbathy, Monster Magnet-y shit. Like, just kind of strip back the production a bit. So we're gonna go in with Brian Howes. I think we're gonna do 4 or 5 tracks. We're gonna actually be covering a song that we really love as well. And we're going to be launching in September. I don't have the exact date yet because it really just depends how quick production happens.
Right on. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned wanting to go a little bit rawer because this next track that I'm about to play, the last track I'm about to play off of Our Time Is Now, Surrender, the first thing that struck me about this track was just how aggressive it was, which I was really, really stoked on when I heard it for the first time.
Oh, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about this track.
Okay, so this track is actually my favorite track on the record, to be honest. I love Surrender. It's my baby. And I wrote it with Jake Pitts from Black Veil Brides, who I also wrote Our Time Is Now with. So Jake did all of the music, but when it came to the melody and the lyrics, that was all me. And I kind of got into the studio, like, this track is my favorite because it's so challenging for every single person who plays it. Whether you're the bass player, whether you're the guitar player, the drummer, and even the singer. Like, this song, I wrote it, and I was like, why the fuck did I do that? I don't even think I can sing this live. Which, I worked on it and I could. So I love this track because, A, it kind of pushed me to be better through my own stupidity of writing it. And also like this track because, Surrender is all about, like, the darkness within and just being, like, surrendering yourself and letting you be dragged down, but enjoying it. Like, I know it sounds kind of dark, but it's, it's kind of like discovering that, like, inner darkness within yourself and kind of embracing it, and even, like, it could even be said, like, you're reaching out to someone and saying to them, like, I know that this, like, I'm going to, like, bring you down with me, but you're going to really enjoy it. So why don't you just suck it up and come with me now? Which is, I am sure that I am a destructive person to somebody in the past. I'm sure I have. I've went through some shit when I was younger when I definitely was a very destructive person to be around. So this song is definitely just about that and just about, like, coming to terms with that part of yourself and, kind of identifying it with someone else and pre-warning them but them coming anyway. So it's kind of multifaceted. I'm obviously not like that anymore, and but I think everyone goes, well, not everyone, but I think a lot of people when they get really hurt go through that self-destructive stage that they just want to, like, fuck everything up, including other people. So I think it's kind of that and coming to terms with it and kind of, surrendering to, like, this is what's going to happen, but you're doing it willingly. Like, I'm not forcing.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something I think, I can certainly relate to. I mean, I think you're right. I think a lot of people do kind of, especially when you get hurt early, it's really easy in the response to that to end up hurting more people in response than. And it's almost like it's like sometimes, like something will happen to you and then you put it back out into the world threefold, it seems like.
Yeah. Which, as an older person, I'm like, God damn it. Why I'm an idiot. But, back when I was like 21, 22, it seemed like a great idea. So yeah, this is kind of a track that's all about, like, you want someone to be on that destructive path with you. You don't want to do it alone. So you're, like, inviting someone. It's like, you'll love it. I promise. Yeah.
Candy Mountain, Charlie.
Yeah. Candy Mountain.
Oh, they took my freaking kidney.
Loves you. Starfish loves you.
righty. So once again, thank you so much, Leah, for joining me in the studio. I appreciate it so much and cannot wait to see you guys play tonight. Once again, I want to thank my guest, Leah Martin Brown from EVOL WALKS.
It has been an absolute pleasure, Pulsar. I've really enjoyed this chat. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And once again, this is EVOL WALKS with Surrender, and don't miss their show tonight at 172 at the Rio. And here we go.
Just take my hand, let it wash over you. My end is a beginning, stories waiting to be told. The sweetest kind of nightmare is just starting to unfold. Why can't you lose it all? Help me fall, stop hiding from your sins. So please help me fall, 'cause we all float down here.
That was EVOL WALKS with Surrender off their EP Our Time Is Now. Love that track. It's like that right mix of like heaviness and hooks that I'm an absolute sucker for. And once again, you can catch them live tonight at 172 inside the Rio. They're going to be playing with Mother Mercury, who were in studio here just on Wednesday and are also an incredible, amazing band. I would argue one of the sleeper bands that, I think Vegas is just now starting to catch on to, that I think is really going to come up in a big way. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, I got more new music for you coming up right after.